Predacons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Cybertrons! Of Cybertron. Cybertrons! Of Cybertron. Of Cybertrons! 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 Cybertrons! Of Cybertron. Cybertrons! Of Cybertron.
We now return you to the Children of Primus.
Hello, warm welcome, Ninny Bong.
Warm welcome. How are you doing, sir?
Very good. Yourself?
I'm doing well, yes.
Right on. You know,
Another episode of the Frenzy Freestyle Sunday with the Children of Primus. There's
Super Bowl special.
a Super Bowl special, Super Bowl Sunday, and according to Fear or Courage, the San Francisco is winning at the moment.
Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet.
So, for some of us, that's it's just a Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
But for some people out there, they're probably losing their shirts on whatever bets they made.
100%. 100%. I can't believe how big an event this can be, but in my area anyways, there is zero talk about it. Like,
I could see that.
yeah.
And you know what? Where I grew up as well, I guess the Super Bowl existed then, but in a sense, where I grew up, there was probably zero talk about it. There would be more talk about World Cup soccer / football, whereas if certain countries won, like the entire area was celebrating, flags everywhere, and just people having fun and having parties, but not for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. It brings me back to living in Montreal.
Oh, okay. Now, what events would be more celebrated out there?
They're big on sports, so it's like all of the events, minus the Super Bowl, not so much. But
Okay.
yeah, the World Cup was a big event. Like, the people were going crazy. There's all kinds of cultural communities in Montreal, so each one of them has big
Nice.
stakes in that World Cup.
Yeah.
And then hockey is a big thing. The
Right,
Montreal
that's
Canadiens, the Habs, is like their heart and soul of the town. So that's a big thing. Everyone talks about the Habs. If you're not talking about the Habs on the bus in the morning, you're not from around here. You're from Toronto.
Yes. We're us Torontonians, where we speak about the Leafs, who I think haven't won the cup in, I think it's like 50 or 60 years now.
Yeah. Sad amount of time.
Yeah.
There's always this year.
Oh gosh. How many times can they say that? Or the other joke of, my dog barks whenever they win the Stanley Cup, and I'm like, I didn't know you have a dog. I'm like, exactly.
Jokes.
So anyone in any other province or city, they'd be like, oh, boo, boo.
Yeah.
Oh well, because we're here talking about Transformers. That's our goal for this Sunday.
Yeah, Hot Topic Sunday.
And actually, an early comment from James Coleman. Hey,
James.
Says hello, guys. Hello, James. How you doing? And also says, feeling classic. I took out my soul of Shokin Getter Robot G-Bots, Getter Poseidon, Getter Elijah, and Getter Dragon, aka Star Avengers, original heroic badass before Transformers. That's interesting, the wording, because I know Poseidon, Star Dragon, and I believe the blue robot was Star Ariel. And I remember really being into Star Avengers when I was younger too, in the early Voltron days before Transformers. So this would have been 82, 83.
Oh, crazy. Star Dragon. I don't think I'm familiar with that, Star Dragon.
Oh, it's and funny, they're actually combiner bots. It was a Japanese-based series, and I did mention it on the stream like a few times, like months ago, and I think last year and before. Essentially, it's 3 airplanes. Characters similar to like the early Voltron day and like all the Japanese-based series, but it's 3 airplanes, a red, an orange, and a blue one, and the planes can combine to form the head, feet, legs, and depending on which formation the planes were in, if the red plane was on top, that was Star Dragon, and he's like the land assault. If the blue plane's on top, that's Star Ariel, which was the air assault, and if the orange plane was on top, that was Star Poseidon, which was the underwater assault.
Sick. And this is like pre-Transformers kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I was let me see, I think still in like grade 6 or 7 when that came out. There we go. So yeah, you have the images here, so I'm gonna pull that up.
See, I'm familiar, like I've seen pictures of this Star Dragon before, but I've never, looked into the lore. I've just seen like figures on the shelf in comic book stores.
Okay.
Recently, there was an anime I just started getting into, and I the name escapes me, and I'm going to find it right now. It's really interesting. It's a 1980s show. Yeah, okay. Here's Star Dragon.
Yeah, so this one's Star Dragon, and I believe later in the series, I don't remember how many seasons it was, because like I haven't watched it since I was a kid. But I do remember in the later part of the series, the Star Dragon had almost like an energy weapon that they could only use once in battle. So this was Star Dragon. So the red plane would be the top formation. Star Ariel, where the blue plane is the top formation, and Star Poseidon, with the orange plane, is the top formation. So Poseidon is the water robot, Ariel is the sky robot, and Dragon is the ground robot.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, it was a fun series, and basically similar to like the Voltron days, where it's like you've got your good guys, bad guys, and then all sorts of banter, and then they fight for like 30 seconds at the end of the episode.
So is this like a super life form robot type of show where the robot is sentient and fights for good type of thing?
No, that's a good question. It's piloted by three pilots. So exactly like Voltron, where Voltron's not sentient. I don't recall the names of the 3 pilots, but they look exactly like characters from the Voltron, the 80s series. But it was like like the slender looking guy is like the leader of the 3. So he drives the red Star Dragon plane, and then kind of the hunkier kind of character, he's the Star Poseidon. I don't recall who was the Star Ariel character though.
That's cool. Those shows are fun. Yeah, I could definitely go for more of Voltron type of shows. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Yeah, the show. So I was checking out recently was called Space Battle Ideon, and that was by the guy who did Gundam. He did this in 1980, and the reason I came across it is it was the thumbnail said Cthulhu. It's like the space horror of anime. I was really interested. So basically, there's a robot, a giant robotic life form, and there's two factions in space, and they're trying to kill each other. They're living on different planets, and essentially, this super robot life form has just existed. It's just always been there, and it's kind of initiating the battle between the two, and each side can pilot it, like they could take it over and pilot it, but at the same time it's somewhat sentient and does its own thing. Like at one point it just completely destroys a planet. It's very out there. There's a lot of war, as you could tell, like the guy who did Gundam, I forget his name, but yeah, he's very interested in war and the consequences of war. And the intricacies of being involved in a war. So it's very heavy. It's very heavy, and it's a little bit of a space horror to some degree.
Okay. Because I know initially, as you were describing it, it also reminded me of Space-Gateers. And that's one I don't remember the whole premise of. I mean, I believe again it's a bunch of characters that are just out to fight for the good. But I don't fully remember, the premise of it. Because I mean, back then you had Voltron, the Space-Gateers, Grandizer, different variations of Force 5, and let's see, Battlestar Galactica. Like those were the main ones before, years before Transformers and even GoBots where it came out.
It's easy to forget about what came before, and how Transformers takes a lot of these things as influences.
Oh, it's true. It's and funny in like certain circles when everyone's just like hating on GoBots, forgetting that before we got into Transformers, like we were presented with GoBots, the toys in the cartoon, because in our on our side of the world, Transformers wasn't a thing yet.
There's a million things that we could probably point out in the Transformers movie that was taken from other animations from before. For example, the fight, the dance on Junkion where they're all in a circle, that whole thing comes from a Studio Ghibli movie.
Ah, okay.
And it was reused over and over in different Studio Ghibli movies.
See, and that's cool because I don't think many people have dissected the 86 movie in terms of what elements came from other cartoons and movies, where the newer movies, the Michael Bay movies, we've been able to dissect what episode of movies they took from, where I believe like Dark of the Moon was essentially just a copy of the season 2 episode where they sent the Autobots into the sun, and with the corrupt politicians and everything.
Yeah, I agree. So Dark of the Moon, that was the one with Sentinel Prime, and they had the space bridge or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I agree with. There was a lot of that elements, and I also thought the Ultimate Doom, the episode. I think it was. Depends on how you're categorizing which episode number it is, but early episodes in season 1.
Right.
So this is Space-Gateers, but it was known as Starzinger in the East, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so I knew it as Space-Gateers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting the anime style, or I guess not anime style, the artistic style in terms of how they draw the helmet and everything. Because looking at that helmet image just on the left there almost reminds me of how Winter Soldier looked when they kind of first presented him in the MCU, where it's just like that masked character that's just kind of has that dangerous look to him.
Interesting. And yeah, that's funny that you mentioned the masks and helmets, because you could tell a lot from the origins of the art from the masks and helmets, and also from robot design. I'm thinking specifically of Masters of the Universe, how Man-at-Arms has that kind of like half helmet. It's kind of like almost like a head of hair, but it's a helmet.
Yes.
That's from Steve Ditko. Oh darn, is it Steve Ditko or Jack Kirby? It's one of the two guys, one of the guys from Marvel who did a lot of classic stuff there. But anyways, yeah, it's one of. Oh darn, I want to say it's Ditko. I have to look that up now, but that type of thing. And also for like Gundam esque robots, like you could see the resemblance in, I guess, in some of the Japanese Transformers, like the Master Force and stuff that came later.
Yep.
There's a lot of similarities between those larger. That name escapes me as well. Who's behind those ones, like Star Saber and things like that?
Right, Star Saber. Yeah, I forgot about Star Saber.
Yeah, so that guy has designed a bunch of toys for Bandai as well, and you could see like there's that character, that signature of his in there.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let me jump on some of the comments. A couple that are funny. Professor Dave on YouTube says, 2 women tried to pick me up today because I'm not watching the Super Bowl. Never knew it was a pickup technique. I don't think it used to be, but hey, just put y'all on some game.
That's not a bad idea. All the guys are occupied. All the guys are occupied. Now's the time to pick up all those chicks.
Yeah, that's okay. Careful what we're promoting here. You know, because those guys would be like, hey, are you hitting on my girl?
Yes, we are. Yes, the geeks are. This is the opportunity of the geeks. You keep watching the game there.
Yep. Geeks won a Super Bowl 0. And Duke Nukem on YouTube says, I'm not sure if I can watch the whole stream. And that's no worries. You know, you can also watch later on. But this will be infinitely better than the SUPERBOWL. Intentional. Well, yeah, something you mentioned earlier in terms of the Super Bowl. I know some Super Bowl ads, they actually do a really good job putting the ads together, and there have been some classic ads over the years. What I didn't realize now is the price to have an ad in a Super Bowl is $6 million.
$6 million, yeah, it keeps going up.
I remember before it was like, you know, $1 million for those 30 seconds, but they put some really funny or memorable commercials in those 30 seconds. So I wonder what they have, you know, lined up for this year.
I was thinking maybe we would see a Transformers thing, because if I remember right, there was a Transformers commercial during the Super Bowl. But I was thinking about it, and I don't think there's military funding behind this one. I don't think there's a crazy budget. This is a CGI thing. It's mostly geared at kids, and they are putting some money into it because, like, they're getting like these big actors like Scarlett Johansson and Chris Thor, whatever, Helmsworth.
Helmsworth.
Yes. So Mario, Super Mario, and what was that other movie? Sonic. And Sonic 2, those did really well for kids, right? They did really, really well. So I think that's what they're trying to pick up on with this Transformers movie. But it's not like they're going to put that much money enough to make a Super Bowl commercial for it.
Yeah, like $6 million. I don't see them investing $6 million for it.
Not without military funding.
Yeah. And Professor D on YouTube says, the geeks come out for your girl during the Super Bowl. The geeks come out. The geeks come out.
No more chanting. No more chanting.
Oh, this is definitely one of those streams. So
yes, it is.
But you know, for anyone who is a football fan, who just maybe they just happen to be watching our stream instead of the Super Bowl. Apparently the 49ers are at 10 and Kansas City is at 3. And it looks like they're in halftime. That's
already.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Although I think halftime is like an hour, you know, because you gotta have the halftime show whoever that is this year.
Mm-hmm. Why would we know?
I know. You know, I mean, the only time it was kind of kind of a thing for us to know was when I think it was like Dr. Dre and Eminem and like a few others. Then it was like, okay, now we'll watch the Super Bowl. Or sorry,
Yeah.
now we'll watch the halftime show. Other than that, not really concerned.
Yeah. I don't even remember the last person that was on, but there was some controversy about the performer, and like even still, it is a big performance. Like whoever's putting it on, it's always a big performance. But there was some problem. Maybe it was Rihanna or something like that.
It was Rihanna and a famous hip hop DJ named Fat Mad Scoop actually presented the issue on one of his live streams. And it was actually a good debatable topic, because the problem was, or not problem, the issue was that she was pregnant during the Super Bowl performance, so she wasn't giving it her 100%.
Okay, fair.
And he was saying, as an artist, and I could understand that point, where a company, whoever companies are associated to the Super Bowl, they've already contacted you like a year, possibly two in advance to say, for instance, hey, the both of us, we're going to host, the 2025 Super Bowl. So at that point, we're like, okay, this is our big time. We'll go to the gym, eat healthy, do everything, stay out of trouble between now to 2025. So knowing that, and taking this from the female perspective, should she have avoided getting pregnant to then be pregnant during the Super Bowl? And does that become like a conflict in the contract, because you're signing this artist expecting them to give 100% to the crowd? They're pregnant, so they can only give you maybe 50%. So did they violate their own contract?
I think no. We could have a whole show about this, but long story short, I think she should be able to get pregnant. And I just want to emphasize that there's more interest in the money and entertainment than the human aspect. Like that's a natural human life, right? And it's who are we entertaining as humans? And
Yeah.
I think giving her a hard time about that is giving a bad impression, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why it was a really good debate, and it was huge. And I mean, we could come up with our point of views from the business side of it, but then you have to look at it from the fan side of it, where it's like, a fan spent however much for a Super Bowl ticket. It could be like 500 to 1,000 or something to go, plus their travel costs, this and that, to go watch the game. And then they get like a halftime show. So then, now they're upset. Do they ask for a refund? And so, you have to, it's on both ends. There's the moral side of it, where it's like, she can do what she wants, but as a fan, it's like you then feel jilted, which for the hip hop 50th anniversary concert that we went to, we felt jilted in the Toronto show, because we didn't get the caliber of artists that the American shows got. So we did feel jilted, or just ripped off in a sense.
Wonder why some of them couldn't get across the border.
Yeah, that was a whole joke, but it is what it is,
Yeah. When there's a lot of money involved, you're always going to get somebody complaining about something.
Yeah, you can't. There's no possible way to appease everyone. It's impossible. So I know you created the link for our watch party, and just before we get into that, RG Eagle says, "Greeting, boys. I guess everyone is watching a big game. I'm about to watch the halftime performance. So let us know who's performing and how it goes, because I'm only keeping a bit of a, keeping an eye on some of the scores just in case as an update. So for RJ, San Francisco's at 10 and Kansas City's at 3. Professor D says, Spin is so considerate of all our fans. He even reads out the scores for the relatively low number of them who are football fans but are missing the game for us.
I like to know the score just so, like, if somebody happens to ask me, I could say, yeah, you know, at some point it was 10-3 for San Francisco. You know, I like to be able to be participating in every conversation. So anything I could add to that.
Well, I mean, for me sometimes I'm like, I don't watch sports. That's I would enjoy playing sports with some people, just having
Yeah.
fun, you know, exercising. But I'm not one to sit and watch hours of sports.
That's a big thing for me too. Like, especially with soccer fans, I'm a big soccer player. I was a soccer coach, played competitive soccer, and friends want to talk to me about so and so and so and so, and it's like, I don't know any of these people. That's a whole other side of it. Just enjoy kicking the ball around and get some good fresh air. That's all that's important.
Well, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people, it all depends on what you're into. Because I have friends, they could tell you the stats of certain players from their high school days to college days to professional days. I couldn't, but then I could tell you the stats of you know, a certain transformer before they be, you know, when before they became a prime, when they became a prime, certain
Exactly.
variations. So everyone has their thing.
That everyone's a fanatic about something. So that's
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah. Yeah. There is that exact parallel. That's exactly the right parallel I had in my mind.
Cool. And RJ Eagle says, for the halftime show, it's Usher and Alicia Keys, which that two good artists. I like them.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy. Usher and Alicia Keys. That's right on.
And Professor D says, nice.
Hmm.
So, yes.
Usher, is it? Sorry, I have to ask. Is Usher the same as David Usher, or that's two separate things? I think that's two separate things.
I think that's two separate things. I've heard the name David Usher. I don't recall who that is. Usher's
Something
had
90s.
a long singing career. I think he's actually underrated in terms of his longevity and what he's achieved. Um, and same as Alicia, although Alicia's isn't as long as Usher's, but both very very good artists though.
Yeah. I got confused because Usher and David Usher are both since the 90s. So I think
Okay.
I got mixed up there.
No worries. No worries.
Oh, so
Yes.
by the way,
Oh no, go ahead.
I looked up who was the original creator artist, concept artist for Masters of the Universe, and that was Jack Kirby, who did that helmet design. He had a thing at the time, and that it carried on with all of the other characters in Masters of the Universe.
Well, I wonder. Let me see. Jack Kirby, as in, and was he within Marvel as well?
Yeah, so he did Doctor Strange. He's the one. Oh darn! I'm pretty sure he's the one that did Doctor Strange and all that cosmic stuff, and like
Okay.
you know that the cosmic crackle, the Kirby crackle. Yeah, that's right. So you know, it's a very pleasing aesthetic of these cosmic comics, like you'll see in Silver Surfer comics and maybe
Okay.
Fantastic Four comics. Yeah, yeah, very cool, um, very original Marvel stuff. Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby is like one of the legends over there.
And it's I know in some circles, and it's like I'm not into comics as much, but I know there's been debates between Stan Lee and Kirby, in terms of I think some saying, you know, Stan just kind of jacked everything, where Kirby was kind of more the creative force behind it.
Yeah,
Um, but then, as you said, with Kirby creating the Man of Arms like helmet design, then I'm thinking, I wonder if Juggernaut was a part of his creation as well.
yeah. Good point. Good point. Definitely has that wide, round
Mm-hmm.
type of shape to it.
Which I'm surprised Magneto wouldn't have been either then. Or I don't know. I wonder if just the fact of that helmet where both Juggernaut and Magneto, in a sense, lose some of their powers once they don't have their helmets.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah. Well, you could. Professor X could access his mind without his helmet. I think.
Yes, that's it. So
Juggernaut.
he doesn't lose
Yeah,
his powers. It
yeah,
blocks yeah, it
yeah,
blocks Xavier.
yeah, yeah.
So Professor D says we don't ask Micah about sports, and we just learned R&B. waiting for the day when Dope Poet Society performs on the Super Bowl, but that might be like Super Bowl 2037.
I'm waiting for a virtual artist to play at the Super Bowl, like Miku Hatsune in Japan. Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, so Juggernaut, by the way, was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. So yes, that's exactly what I was referring to. You see this you see these characters, and you're like, I recognize that shape. Is that a Kirby? And yeah, without a doubt, it is.
Interesting. So I mean, then I wonder if Baran is influenced from Man of Arms, since I believe He-Man was out before. Yeah, I believe He-Man was out well before Transformers.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah.
Which there's one version of Braun, I think the one based off of the earlier part of the Bumblebee movie. I think in the toy or the design, I've never been a fan of that one. Whereas like I'm still more of a fan of the G1 cartoon style of Braun.
I know the one you're talking about. It's because it's very stylistic. It has its own style to it. I kind of like it. I kind of like it because he has he seems more actionable, and it's almost like a real life take on what he could have been type of things. I'm kind of partial to it. I like how different it is.
Okay, because I know at certain times when like he kind of looks almost like his face almost looks similar to like one of the Quintesson faces. From how they designed it in the toy.
Yeah, those Michael Bay lips.
Yep. So RJ Ego says, I gotta say, I do tune in to the playoffs for both the Leafs and James, and I do watch my fair share of NBA games.
Well, yeah, I tell you, the Raptors in the playoffs was a heck of a time. That was a good time in Toronto.
Well, I remember when the Blue Jays won the playoffs. I think it was like 91 or 92, because that was the year they won like 3 times. And I remember just a bunch of us were hanging out like just at someone's house watching movies, and then on the way home, passing by Yonge Street and just seeing like basically the entire city just hanging out on Yonge Street. And then it's like we didn't even realize like the Blue Jays won, because we're just so busy hanging out, not into sports. But I mean, like, it was cool just seeing everyone out just celebrating.
Is that the 1990 World Series?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember that day too. I was at my neighbor's house. He was a friend of mine, and we were watching The Terminator. Okay. And instead of watching the game, but at one point, one of the dads had flipped to the channel, and they were all excited. Oh, we won! And us kids were like, "What did we win?"
Exactly. Like, are we getting a prize? Like, what did we win? Professor D says, unless Children of Primus is on, then right at RJ Eagle. So as we slowly get over to the live stream, give me a bit more detail in terms of the link that you created.
Okay, so I was doing some research on how I could stream something and have a live chat and make sure it's synced between everyone. I did try the Discord thing. It's all right. I did pay it a little bit so I can get some better features, but there's a lot to be desired. So this one is called SciTube, cytu.be, and it's a basic thing, and you could. It's small. That's why you could put licensed content on there, like Transformers, Beast Hunters. Nobody's really after it because there's a small number of people on it. And it's very smooth. It runs very fast, and it's versatile. So if you want to expand to do some other live stuff or more fun stuff on there, we could do some custom programming to make it more unique, the site.
Cool. Well, it was small until we just mentioned it on our stream. So they'll expect like 1.5 billion views by tomorrow.
Yeah. Our viewership is too big for them to handle.
You know, SciTube is just shut down for like the flood, like a DDoS flood will just occur now.
Yeah.
And RJ Eagle says, "Ha ha ha! Now that's the truth at Professor D." So for those tuning in to the Super Bowl Sunday, what we are going to have is a Transformers Prime Beast Hunters movie, which is essentially the ending of the Transformer Prime series, a series that I did enjoy, and of all the series in that Transformers have put out, you know, growing up with G1, that for me will always be my number one. But Transformer Prime I put at a really very, very close second. And in terms of you know, realizing they follow the formula of having a plot within an episode, which is a plot within a season, which is a plot within the series. So it was like, you know, well written and cohesive, and a storyline that wasn't just random stories. It all connected properly. And the Beast Hunters was the finale of that series.
Yeah. It's very interesting that it didn't seem like they had planned for Beast Hunters to begin with, because as far as I remember, like I was watching it as they were airing these episodes, Transformers Prime.
Okay.
They didn't mention there's a Beast Hunters episode. It was like, okay, this is the season finale, and that was it. And then out of the blue, I think several months later, not too long later though, several months later, this movie comes out, straight to video type of thing. And it was a good conclusion, but it seemed like it had already concluded.
Was it straight to video? Because I think at the time, what was it? It was one of those channels that was airing the Transformers Prime every week, like Thursday nights. Which, you know, we've had debates before, which I appreciated it coming out an episode per week, because, you know, it gives you something to look forward to. You get to talk about it for the week, as opposed to like shows where they just drop the entire season and like you watch it in a weekend and then you're done and that's it.
Yeah.
But from what I do recall with it being every week, there was no mention of anything leading up to that. But they did include the Beast Hunters on that same channel that was showing the episodes weekly.
Yeah, there was at the time it was the Hasbro exclusive channel, the Hub, and
that's it. Yes,
that's around the time when they bought the company Entertainment E. I think I'm pretty sure 2010-ish, which was kind of cool because I had a girlfriend at the time, and because it was a new thing, I could get her into Transformers, and it was very reminiscent to G1, but well written, and like you mentioned, the story was cohesive. So that was a lot of fun, and we had something to talk about throughout the week. That was like, oh, what's going to happen to Miko? Oh, you know, like it was really fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, and I liked the style that they used for it, because, you know, as I said, it was kind of G1-esque in terms of the characters and the storylines, but they kind of updated how the characters looked, and there was somewhat of a Bay influence in their design, but still tying in with G1. But really, the writing is what sold the series. So it's just like, you know, even though Optimus looks more like the Bay version Optimus, he's still, you know, a character that you can appreciate, because he's not like the Murder Prime style of Optimus. Like, he's on this planet trying to figure out, you know, how to protect the humans and protect his Autobots at the same time. Okay, so Duke Nukem on YouTube is saying, is that link supposed to be active now? And it is, so we're gonna have that running in a moment. And Duke Nukem also says, for me, G1 is king. However, Transformers Prime is a close second because I watched it with my son when he was young, and that's very cool. You know, to create that bond, you know, with your children in terms of something that you appreciate, and, you know, you hope they appreciate it as well. And
that was a perfect show for that, 100%.
And Professor D says that Duke Nukem's link seems to work. I entered the chat, and also said, I keep getting an error message telling me I failed to connect to the server. I'm at work now, so I might be blocked. I'll leave here ASAP to catch it. So let me open up the link and see what's happening. So for those looking to watch the movie, we have it at SciTube, which is cytu.be/r/COP, and I'm gonna leave the link in here for anyone who wants to view it.
Silly me, I put COP, capital C, small o, capital P. That might be important in order to get into the link. So that might be why it's not letting you in there.
Oh, okay.
My bad for putting capitals in a URL. But it is out, yeah. Get your snacks on.
Cybertronian radio.
Yeah, that's what I just put on for now.
Okay. Okay,
so it's all queued up.
Cool. So actually, I'm going to. Oh yeah, I don't have to run it on a different computer because I actually set up a secondary computer to do the Discord stream, so that way I didn't run into the audio issues that I did the last time.
Mm. Oh.
So actually, let's see. So the movie is, I believe the movie is just over an hour.
Yeah, just over an hour.
Okay, so you know what, let's see. At 8:50, we will start the movie.
Cool. Are you looking at the Cybertron radio thing?
I am.
Is it playing?
Actually, no, I paused it. Yep, now it's playing.
It is, eh? Okay. Oh. Oh, it is working for me. Okay, great.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so it's an interesting website, this SciTube. It seems like there's a lot of room to expand. So okay. I just want to dive into it and just see what's possible with it. Maybe it's something worthwhile. Because we'd stream something 24/7, which would be a lot of fun.
Anyway, that and if we can avoid any form of copyrights streaming through that, we'll see how we can link the two together.
Exactly. Actually, I was thinking I have these old Transformer VHSs that was recorded from TV back in the 80s. Like it's the original broadcast version, which is technically the best version, and those have since been lost. So that would be a lot of fun to be able to air that. Otherwise, I can't post it anywhere else.
Professor D says, "Yo, this radio station has jazz on it. I mean, you know what I mean."
Good one.
Good one. Yeah, it's I think, what is it, Rhino, when they re-released the original Transformers series on VHS, I wasn't a fan of those versions because then they started adding different sound effects and enhancing certain things, and I'm like, I don't remember that happening in the cartoon. It's just it just took away from the experience.
Yeah, big time. Like Optimus Prime's gun sound was completely different, and that felt so wrong.
Okay.
But I think what had happened, and this was explained by Flint Dilly, that they would get a copy, and it would be a day before release, 2 days before release, and they would say, "Oh, you have to fix these errors. Oh, Soundwave has an Autobot logo," so they would send it back to Toei in Japan, and they would quickly do it and send it back. And as far as they were concerned, Toei back then, they didn't see it as kind of important memorabilia stuff. It's just well, we have another show to work on today. This is going in the back of the cover type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of the case there with regards to like the animation errors that Rhino had. So I forget where Rhino got their versions from,
Hmm.
but yes, it definitely was far from the final release.
Okay. And and that's not like hearing that, that's not far fetched from what I've heard actors talk about, like classic '70s shows. I mean, one show that was started in, I believe, '79 and ran through the early '80s, and this is back when TV shows had at least enough episodes to go from like when they started in fall all the way down to like summer and stuff before going into the next season. And they said this, like the schedule in terms of completing an episode was like really vigorous and hard, where like these actors are there from like 6 in the morning up until like 6 7 in the afternoon shooting their scenes and everything, and then once all that's done, then it goes to the studio for editing and everything, and they have to like try to get this done for like next week's episode, and they're doing this for like months and months on end, and it's like that must have been draining, where it's like
Yeah.
now shows are doing like 10 episodes and they're calling that a season, where these guys were doing like 40 episodes a season.
Mm, mm. Yeah. The pioneers of television.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this Beast Hunters movie, this is actually like one of my favorite Transformers media. It was really heavy. There's a lot of things that remind me of like G1 Optimus Prime, the Transformers movie, and they just they did this character really well. Also, the voice acting is pretty on point. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
James Horan as Wheeljack, Steve Bloom as Starscream, and of course Prime and Megatron as themselves.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's a good show. It's a good show, Transformers Prime.
Oh, that's funny hearing that in the background. But I did, and I know some. I think I've read somewhere where people were kind of debating in terms of the wheeljack they had in Transformers Prime not being the same as like the G1 Transformers, and I somewhat appreciated the Prime version over the G1. In a sense, I have an appreciation for both. Um, because I like the quote unquote goofy mad scientist Wheeljack from G1. But the
Hmm.
Prime version was the Wrecker version of Wheeljack, where he's just like, he's just not taking any nonsense. And same as Ultra Magnus, where that was the version of Ultra Magnus that, I appreciated more. He was just the no nonsense second in command, and he'll even question his leader if he has to, but he's just going in to do what needs to be done. Whereas in the Rebirth episodes of Transformers, they really dumbed down Ultra Magnus to the point of, Optimus comes back, and every time Optimus is thinking something, Ultra Magnus is like, what are we gonna do now, Optimus? What's your plan, Optimus? What's happening, Optimus? And I'm like, you have like
Yeah,
zero thoughts. Like you just seem like this like idiot sidekick at this point.
yeah. Those Rebirth episodes were very poorly written, with just
Uh,
a focus to advertise the new character. They had 3 episodes to advertise the new line of Transformers. So
it
this
was
was like
painful.
so bad.
It was painful. Professor D says SciTube seems like it has potential. Thoughts tick, talk ticking, plot thickening.
Yeah, it's an interesting site. You could do a lot with it.
Cool.
Open source.
Open source. Just get your hands on it and play around with it as you want, and just create, recreate, and make it your own.
Hmm.
Cool. And on that note, it is now 8:50. So I say for
Sweet.
those who are here, get some popcorn, as we are going to watch Transformers Prime Beast Hunters. So again, for those who want to watch Prime Beast Hunters, it is going to start in a moment, and you go to the link cytu.be/r/capital capital P. I have it on the screen, so you type it in exactly as is, and you can go over to that link and watch the movie as we're watching it.
Okay, everyone in there? We ready to roll?
Lights, camera, action.
Right on.
We have a full. Make it on a large screen.
So that was actually pretty epic if you haven't seen the season finale to Transformers Prime.
Mm-hmm. Which the whole Dark Energon concept was actually pretty cool in the series.
Yes, it was. I don't know if they've expanded on that, but they definitely should. Very cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
Exposition. That's one thing. This movie is too short to show it rather than tell. So instead of showing it, Unicron had to tell it.
Mm-hmm. See, the one thing, like rewatching it now, I have a more appreciation of Orson Welles voicing Unicron than whoever they found for this one.
I agree. Oh, I have a funny story about this wheeljack that I forgot to mention. I'll get back to it later.
Okay. So, RJ Eagle says, I'm hoping they can use some voice modulation for any future Unicrons that will match Orson Welles' voice.
That would be cool. There was a rumor going around saying that Orson Welles couldn't finish the lines and Leonard Nimoy had finished the final lines.
Oh.
That's not true, by the way. That was just a rumor. But yeah, definitely hope they could just copy his voice.
Okay. Professor D says, I agree. Seems like a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like this Orson Welles sounds, sorry, this version of Unicron sounds like Vincent Price.
Like, because he's talking opposite to Megatron, and Megatron sounds so much better than he does.
Mm-hmm.
So this part reminds me of what I watched in one of Spectre Creative's videos on how you demonstrate on how to play with the toys. So that gives the toy more value and more reason for moms to pick them up off the shelves.
Okay.
Well, Transformers was always very good at that, at demonstrating the transformation. The art was always very on point. Like it was pretty close to transformation. And then later the cartoons were like exactly the same as the toys. That was sick.
Mm-hmm. I think the smokescreen character they did a really good job with. Cause I remember watching this series, and at certain times it felt like Smokescreen was gonna become a prime, but like he was a really good, like well thought out character.
Yeah, especially for like him being as like a B-line character or even C-line character from previous episodes, previous series.
And Ratchet just being really a real cynic and sarcastic, but just really funny about it.
Yeah, he's such a great actor, voice actor too. This I think is Jeffrey Combs. Wow, I'm really bad with names tonight. He was the reanimator from those classic horror movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very funny character. So that's kind of like the backstory to this Ratchet. He's a mad scientist, reanimates people.
Nice.
To me, this seemed very disconnected to the storyline of Transformers Prime. Like they try to do a little bit too much in too little time.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because in the comic book when there was like the Underbase saga, you know, like this actually almost exactly how Optimus is describing it, like this, you know, this relic that's floating through space, which then Starscream was able to capture it. But in the G1 series, there's always some sort of relic or characters or something that ended up on Earth well before technically the series created, because there was the Pearl of Bahudin, then there was Skyfire, and there was the Insecticons that all just seemed to end up on Earth before the Ark crashed on the planet.
True. Yeah, that's interesting that you reminded me about that relic Starscream was looking for in the comics. Also, there was the Matrix quest, which was in the comic, but that was a long, awesome
like further
story.
After, yeah. And that's why Rebirth failed in terms of their episodes, because in the comic books they created a mini series just to explain the concept of the headmasters and the target masters while that Underbase saga was going on, and then merged the two comics back together.
Yeah. That was interesting. I just listened to a Michael Mercy episode, I think it was today, on Fortress Maximus. Bob Budiansky wrote the character Buster to be the head of Cerebros of Fortress Maximus.
Yep.
But in the cartoon and the toy, it was Spike. So after the Headmasters miniseries in the comics, Bob Budiansky introduced the character Spike, the new brother to Buster Witwicky.
Yes.
So we weren't actually going to get Spike in the comics. He was actually going to be Buster all the whole way through, which is
right.
Yeah.
RJ Eagle says, other than Predaking, did they make any of these Predacons as toys? They're sick. Um, that I'm not sure. Do you know? Because I know Fear of Courage would have an answer to that.
I want to say they did, but now that you ask, I'm questioning that.
And Freakenstein says, thumbs up. Well, welcome, Freakenstein from YouTube.
Well, they did a Ripclaw. Oh, and Darksteel. That seems very unlike Starscream.
I like Shockwave though.
Yeah.
There's that dark analytical character.
He feels a little bit like Tarantulas having these little labs all over Earth.
Yes. Oh, that sounds like Unicron music.
I'm pretty sure they made a new toy just for this version of Megatron as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Unicron earlier said that he is now a being of pure energy. Another character that was a being of pure energy was Primacron from the
Yes.
episode Call of the Primitives.
Yes. Well, it's interesting here. They still show Megatron, and in this case, the quote unquote Galvatron or merger with Unicron, where he's still having that inner conflict with his mind of like two personalities working at once.
That is probably my favorite part of this episode, is that inner conflict of Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was really well done, and it plays out very well.
And when you look at season 3 of the G1 series, um, a lot of the episodes were really based on adult content, or in a sense, it was written in a way that adults could more understand what was the characters were going through. The problem with that is we were still kids when season 3 came out. So rewatching it now, the episodes make sense where it's like sending Galvatron like to get psychiatric assessments. Rodimus just being tired of like leading everyone and having to babysit basically the entire universe.
Yeah,
It's just like that's like adult things, things that adults go through.
I think very much. There's a lot of depth to some of those episodes. One thing that really comes to mind, especially since it's been on the top of my mind lately, is the return of Optimus Prime
Mm-hmm.
with the hate plague. Now, hate plague could mean any number of things, and like you see these types of people that are affected by a hate plague every day, and I
Yep.
feel like that's really true to reality what they did with that episode in a lot of different ways.
Oh, very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. The hatred, the automatic hatred towards Optimus Prime, despite it being Megatron's fault that Gregory got the scar on his face. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very interesting. They touched on a lot of interesting aspects of this quote unquote hate plague that actually might or might not exist.
Yep. Yep. It's true.
The editing, for example, with this coming back and forth to Prime's mission and the rest of them on Cybertron, I don't think it was edited as well as it could have been.
Okay.
Like it cuts too much, and I lose interest to one story, and or maybe it's just not edited right.
I mean, interesting to find out if it, the secondary story was just kind of added in after to lengthen the overall plot of everything happening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interested to find out more about that now. I'm pretty sure you knew that already. I really love Megatron's execution, or Frank Welker's execution of Megatron in Transformers Prime, as opposed to his video game versions or the classic versions.
Okay.
It's a very like aged, ancient, galactic warlord. Yeah, he really does a really good execution of Megatron in this one.
I agree with that.
It's a good evolution of Megatron. Not to say it's better than the other ones. I think it's a good evolution and direction for him.
Well, the one version of Megatron I also appreciated. It's one of the trilogies, and essentially like Prime and Megatron are working together along with Windblade, at the Prime series.
Okay,
And
yeah.
Megatron is just he's at that state of like, I fought everyone, I'm bored of fighting, I'm just here for the ride, and I'll insult you guys however you want. And it just he just has a certain swagger to him, but it's like, I'm helping you out either way.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you can't be an evil warmonger all of the time, right? I'm suspicious of that. So to see the personal side, the introspection of Megatron, it's very, very fascinating.
Yeah, and he came to that realization. It's like, if I win the universe, then what? I'm just gonna be bored. So I'll get other interests, because even my greatest enemy, we're kind of friends now. So what else is there for me to do?
It's these kinds of questions and relationships that I find very interesting about Transformers. Like it's touched on, but that leaves the imagination to explore it that much more.
Yeah.
So that was a Simon Furman concept of Primus and Unicron being stuck inside planetoids from the early Marvel comic days. Or I guess later Marvel comic days.
Okay.
I don't know if Bob Budiansky created a Primus in the early TF comics.
I mean, yeah, since Primus did come in later on in the comics, but I would believe he was still involved up until like somewhat the end of G1.
No.
Interesting, because I mean they still followed the concept of tech specs, bios, and everything for the characters, which still had his style of writing to it.
Well, yeah, Bob, he did pretty much all of the source material. It was his concept, it was his storyline, and I think it was Anthony who mentioned on stream once that the comic being also written by Bob Budiansky, who created this Transformers universe,
Right.
it was very refreshing to see a creator actually writing, being the backbone of the story.
But I wonder when he did stop doing that for Hasbro, and because the later G1 characters still, still had that that essence of what he did for the earlier parts of G1, whereas like you see the later toys, like they didn't even include that anymore.
That's a good question. From what I understand, it was just one of those things that was popped on his desk. He had to work on it, and then when it was someone else's turn, he was working on something else right away. It's pretty much just like in and out type of thing with the projects they work on there.
Right.
I think, anyways. Yeah, Prime and Megatron are written really well in this movie.
Oh yeah. And the conflict between Megatron and Unicron.
It's just Unicron's voice actor isn't as believable.
No, not at all.
So that's the one thing I wanted to mention is that Primacron, being an entity of energy, he was able to assimilate anything, planets even.
Correct.
So how come Unicron can't be doing this?
Professor D says, pull up an image of the new Kang Toys Dinobots. Compare how they look to the beast that was just in the movie. So I will look that up.
Interesting.
What's up, Mr. Mike?
Up.
You watching the movie?
Not really. I've seen it so many times, but I did brought a bit of a watch party with me. First, I will say this. All autobots.
Oh, nice.
Six special edition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually have the Beast Hunter Optimus Prime as well too. And here to battles. Feel such a kid. Battle some Beast Hunters. Da-da-da-da.
Nice.
Cool. Sky Stalker.
Right.
Cool. I don't know if he was in the show or was he?
Yeah, he was. And we got Rip Claw here.
Nice.
Pew 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 pew. And
That's hard to play with them in the box.
I know it. Fortunately, this guy got knocked out early in the movie.
Shush.
Oh, we didn't get there yet. They pulled an Anakin on him. Oh, sorry, Luke Skywalker. But originally, he should have looked like this guy.
Oh, is that the Japanese version? Cool.
Well,
Nice.
I actually have the original version of the same size as the other Ultra Magnets that I showed you, but it's in a box somewhere, obviously. That's actually the first time that they've messaged or they mentioned about Ultra Magnus, because there was a one episode in Prime that they did show Magnus, like a computer image of him. So based on that image, they actually went with that and they actually did a toy based on that image, right? So since I didn't have that one in the box, I figure I'll show that one, even though it's the Japanese one. But they actually have, again, the Voyager class size. And again, if you look here, he has the hammer, and I'm guessing. Well, I should say this. This is the thing that I like about Prime Transformer. They took a lot of influence of other Transformer canon stories, and I think they took this hammer from the animated what's called Magnus, right? Because he had the hammer as well too, right? So
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty neat, right?
that's
But
right.
but then in the storyline here, you know, he takes after he took what? Let me show you here again. The cartoon actually looking one, as you can see, he has the hammer there, and then he just took
Nice.
that off of Solus Prime hammer after Smokescreen revived Optimus Prime.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I like that whole
little
relic
tidbits
thing.
Yeah,
I like how they
thought that was pretty
turn
cool.
these things into relics.
Yep.
So, welcome, Shiva Kobe. Welcome once again, Shiva Kobe from YouTube. It says, "Phew, I'm here, but I'm unloading the car from a Costco run. I forget what AFK stands
Another
for.
Costco run.
Yeah,
You're
another
getting-
Costco run.
You're clearly not a Gen Zer.
Stocking up for the apocalypse.
I know. She spent like $7,000 on like one thing.
Or you buy one thing and you get like 7,000. I mean, in Costco, you get like jars of mayonnaise the size of like a car tank.
Exactly.
And Duke Nukem from YouTube, Beast Hunter Optimus Prime is wicked. He's jacked.
Yeah, let's look at him again. Actually, you know what? I actually really enjoy this Prime figure. I really do. Right? I think it's just an amazing. Just an amazing figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the blaster. I love his his sword that it comes with. Very detailed, and it's actually really tune accurate as well, which I really like.
Oh yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, the tune accuracy figure. They did really good tune accurate figures for this line.
Yeah, they did. That again, I think I mentioned this in previous episodes that the 2010 generation got me back into collecting, and then when Transformer Prime came out, during that same time, right when all their figures came out, I was like, wow, like very impressed. Just the fact that thinking back of the G1 days, and you're looking at your figure and you're looking at the cartoon, especially when you have Ironhide or Ratchet, and you're like, where the hell is his head?
Yep.
Oh, hello.
Right.
Hey.
Hey. And then
I come in exactly 43 minutes in.
Nice. Professor D says that's the right prime for the occasion. And Duke Nukem
It's really,
says...
I was thinking really odd about Optimus in this. So the toy came with the Star Saber, and they made a big deal about him using it. He never once used it on the show. Star Saber was always held by other people. But then, when he used it, he was in his old form. After his Beast Hunter upgrade.
Mm-hmm. And Duke Nukem says Transformer Prime has a Schwarzenegger-like profile. Beast Hunter's Prime has a Hulk-like profile.
You know what? He's absolutely correct, because when I was looking at the Prime Beast Hunter mold, I was looking at it, I was like, did they take any inspiration from the Hulk, like the Iron Man Hulkbuster, image or look or inspiration? I was like,
well, Hasbro does the toys for both, so
yeah,
it's entirely possible it was deliberate. They even did Marvel Transformers at a couple points.
They did, especially when they added the Gatling gun right to Prime. That's definitely an Arnold move there. So you got your Predator reference. But the funny part is that was Jesse Ventura that was had the Gatling gun in Predator. So let's make that correct.
Because Predacons on screen here, something that J.E. Alvarez said about the production of Transformers Prime. The actual reason Predaking didn't transform for a while wasn't because of story purposes. It was because him being on the show was such a last minute thing that the CGI model for his robot mode wasn't actually finished yet. So they had to write in him not transforming for a while after he made his debut.
Interesting.
I thought, you know what? Actually, that's an interesting point. But I actually thought, watching the cartoon, I thought he was just learning and processing and understanding what's going on, and then he's like, okay, these guys are able to transform, why can't I? Here, let me try. Right?
Yeah, that's how they justified it after the fact, right? They said, okay, well, his dragon mode's ready to go, but we're cutting this so close, his robot mode's not ready, so we're going to write in this idea that he doesn't transform yet, and come up with whatever reason.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. The things I've heard over the years is it's a miracle that Transformers Prime turned out good, because it always sounded like it was a real struggle behind the scenes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed it.
Yeah, the entire Beast Hunters thing was there was a change in leadership with the Transformers brand, so they suddenly incorporated all that stuff in the toy line.
See, that's so
There's
funny.
our answer. We were
There's
just
our
wondering.
answer. There's our
Yeah.
answer. Yep.
Okay, well, hold on. What was the question first?
Well,
Remind
there's
us what was
definitely
the
a
question.
difference. There's a difference in the feel and the writing, in the character types. Like you were mentioning, there are more hulky characters in this that were introduced, and it doesn't feel like it's part of the same continuity. It does feel a little bit disconnected.
Yeah. Well, I need to find it now because famously, now you got to take his stuff with a word of salt because he's a known exaggerator. But Avilrez, who was involved with the brand at that point, he was like one of the guys that wrote the Binder of Revelation. Did a panel at a convention where he talked about all the things that went on behind the scenes, and people have people have taken screenshots of the PowerPoints and things. And yeah, one of the things there was that, there was a change in direction when they introduced like Beast Hunters into the toy line because there was like a leadership switch. And so the third season of the show was a scramble to change directions to incorporate all this stuff. So that's why you had like Predacons CGI model not being done. That's why he's the only Predacon until the movies. There was a bunch in the toy line. They just weren't on the show because they didn't have time to like build character models for them.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
because there was only really 2 characters besides Predaking that had some kind of lines, and then the rest were just basically zombies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like the third season. I thought it turned out really good and it was really well written. It was a struggle behind the scenes. It was like a production mess. So it's fortunate and surprising that we got something of like this caliber.
Well, if you recall, I guess a few shows back, we did talk about the rendering drawings or the concept drawings that they wanted to do originally with Prime.
Yeah,
and they had Ironhide and so forth instead of Bulkhead, right? So was it that period of time where they made that change?
no, that was really early on. Those slides were from like before the show was even on the air.
No, I understand that part, but I'm saying like when they made the change, I guess in writers or leaders, was it just during that time?
No, because it would have been like literally between the show's second and third seasons,
Oh,
production wise.
Well, we got D here. The comment. Go ahead, Spin.
Yeah, just before I read D's comment, in terms of us fans slightly picking up on the change in the style between the seasons and everything, but not understanding the chaos that was happening in the background. I know from the performing side of things, where D and I, when we did shows back in the day, as an artist, sometimes you have like a ton of lyrics and songs, and sometimes you forget those lyrics and songs. But if you're on stage, you forget a bunch of lyrics and you just keep going and start coming up with anything. The fans have no idea, and they're just like, "Oh, that was an amazing show," and we're laughing and we're like, "We had no idea what the lyrics are. We forgot our lyrics, but it was an amazing show." So Professor D says, "I wonder if the style of the Kang Toys Predacons was partially inspired by these Transformer Prime style Predacons. Never heard anyone draw the comparison, but they look related to me."
Yeah, I'd buy it. It's kind of a similar aesthetic. Yeah.
I don't know what D's talking about. I have to go take a look at it before I can make a comment on that. But I trust D.
They added like a few new Predacons in there. One of them's like a crab or something, like it to the Predaking, if I remember correctly.
I like your username, SuperBowlHunter.com.
Yeah.
Gotta be original, man. Gotta keep it fresh.
Yeah.
But okay, so you guys are actually watching the movie right now, right?
Yeah.
Where we're at?
50 minutes in out of so we only got like 15 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, I forgot how brief this movie was. You know why? Apparently on TV, like eventually they cut this into 3 episodes and just put it in like at the end of the show when it's like syndicated.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like parts 1, 2, and 3 tacked on to the end of the show when you air it, like, regularly.
That's why I remember it being a part of of like the weekly series, because I know Deceptikitty mentioned that it was straight to video, and it's like I didn't watch it on video. I watched it with with the rest of the series.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it aired on TV initially as a movie, and yeah, it did go straight to video. That's the version I have. I think that's just the version that's on streaming and like DVD. But like when it's aired on TV, like they did cut it into 3. That's why it's an hour 5 because it's exactly 3 episodes.
Got it.
Yeah, 22 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that I at least came in now because I really want to see where Megatron goes because the sequel series, Robots in Disguise, he never shows up again, but they repeatedly talk about like the Decepticon remnants like trying to get in touch with him, trying to reach him, trying to find him. But in that show, because it was a long show, it was like 4 seasons, he never comes back. Like, so when he pieces out here, he's genuinely gone from this continuity for, like, forever.
Oh, wow.
You know what I liked about Transformer Prime and was the whole Shockwave
What about him?
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's heavy, especially in the
Such a
comics.
little dude. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying he's such a little dude, right? It's like he's walking past everybody. You just see like his head, and everybody's just afraid of him, right?
Yeah.
See, he's such a he has such a commanding presence in the show, and it's just fantastic because it's like he was like one of those characters back in G1 that you want to see a lot more, right? And then here
Yeah.
we actually get to see a Shockwave that, you know what, he could pass for a G1 character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his attitude and his demeanor and the way he speaks too, right? So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy that character.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always a heavy character to have around, but I
Not
think
being
they could have played.
Yeah.
I think they could have played more off of his Transformers animated version of Shockwave, which was really, really
A double
impressive.
agent, yeah.
Mm.
The double agent. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like he had a punch-counterpunch situation going on because he pretended to be an Autobot named Long Arm for a lot of the show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, famous shot there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're
Actually
time
had
for the
that
big
on
finale.
as well.
Yeah. You know, it's
Yeah.
really weird. They never made a full-sized figure of this version of Megatron, like the Unicron version.
Oh, they didn't.
Well,
No.
no, they did. Hold on, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna stop you. They did and they didn't. They made like
They made a little repaint, yeah.
Yeah, like, well, it's a repaint, but it's like a mantis kind of looking Megatron, which I do have. It's in a box. I wish I could bring it out and show you guys, right? But it's
in a
kind of
box.
theme on this particular Megatron.
Yeah. It's like a shark
But if
version,
you
but
look
it
at
was
some
like
of
a
the
totally
Transformer
different
Prime-
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Transformer Prime figures,
Mhm.
they came up with a different colors schemes of Megatron. There's
Yeah.
this black and purple one that's really nice, and there's a chrome
Yeah.
one
The
that's been
the
eluding
black
me.
Yeah, the black and purple one is like based on his upgrade near the end of the first season when he was like juiced up on Dark Energon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another thing. The Beast, the toy line, the sudden switch. Everybody in the cast got fancy Beast Hunters upgrades, not just Optimus. But once again, because of the sudden last minute switch, they didn't really have the budget to do that on the show, so only Optimus got a fancy upgrade. And, you know, Smokescreen got new colors, but that's something else.
Bumblebee, didn't Bumblebee also get new colors?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
But, like, in the toy line, like, everybody got bulked up,
Talk.
spiky, melee weapon using, like, alternate forms that all kind of look like Optimus's. That, again, the show didn't really have the budget to do.
Oh, I see.
Well, hold on. There's the one character that didn't get an upgrade. He actually got a downgrade. with
Ultra Magnus. Yeah. And it's funny how this is a million years after Beast Wars, but you still have the same restrictions. Creating brand new CGI models is the most expensive thing. Like how in Beast Wars, every character that was on the show got a Transmetal figure, And then, but on the show, only a few of them did because they didn't have the budget. And it's the same thing here. They're like, we only have the money for one Predacon, one maximal upgrade. We can repaint a couple of guys. That's all the show has the money to do.
But you know what? Didn't they take that same upgrade, kind of like from what you kind of just said, like from Beast Wars?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit.
What season was that? That was season 2 or something like that?
Yeah, season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, bit of an homage there, right?
The Optimus's big triumphant return at the start of season 3 is just a remake of Optimus Primal's triumphant return at the start of season 2. It's the same episode. Shows up at the end, owns everybody.
Yeah, that's true. But I think like you have to re-release the toys in some different form so that you could sell them again for the next season. Like, I think that's important. You have to have a reason to put them back on the shelves. You can't sell the same toy again.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so this is where he quits
before selling the same toy again.
Yeah.
Bumblebee. Sorry.
No, this is.
And I have to admit here, okay. Hold on, but I have to admit.
Wait. Let Megatron say this.
Okay.
Yes, that's why he quit.
Just start screen.
And that's it. He's gone permanently. We never even see where he goes. To space? To somewhere else on the planet? I don't know, but he's gone.
I love this Starscream.
Yeah. No, this is one of the better versions.
He's like second best to G1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The voice actor is brilliant.
I like it. Yeah.
Since Chris Latta isn't around, Steve Bloom should just be the guy that plays him in everything now.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, this bit.
Love it.
Yeah. So one of the few things I did see, because I didn't actually watch the full next show because it wasn't very good, to be honest. Starscream does survive. He doesn't die here because he's around in the sequel show, and he goes on about how he got away and stuff.
But I love the Starscream, and then even Soundwave too. Like the whole redesign of Soundwave.
Yeah.
This whole presentation.
Yeah.
He's the Soundwave up until the series finale when he gets yeeted into the dark dimension or whatever. He's the only Decepticon that was there from start to finish. Everybody else in Transformers Prime comes and goes at least once.
Yep.
Like Starscream quits for a while, Megatron's dead for a while, Knockout's a late addition, stuff like that. But Soundwave's there from the start and he's there at the end.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. RC was there from the start and right to the end.
Oh, I'm just talking about the bad guys. The good guys are pretty consistent, but like the Decepticons, Soundwave was the only one that never left and was there from the start.
But I really like the mold that they picked for him.
Yeah.
I know we had different molds for him, like in the generation, like a recon kind of truck. But I really like this mold that they picked for him in Transformer Prime, like that drone spy plane.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah, see, this was something that...
Speech.
I was like...
Everybody just stands there and looks at him.
She's like, we're going to pretend about you didn't do a million war crimes during this show.
Not at all. Well, remember, he never had a good role model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bumblebee speaks.
Yeah. I always remember one flaw in the writing of the show was it wasn't until this movie that they properly outlined the fact that they were living in a Children of Men scenario because they couldn't reproduce because this well here wasn't working.
That's another thing. Yeah, this is just something they brought up in this movie, which makes it feel so disingenuous. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just wish they brought it up earlier in the show because
exactly.
at the end of the second season, when they were fighting over the fate of the planet, the stakes were a little unclear because of that. Like, do you just want your place to be livable again? Or no, this is about the future of your race. Like, that's the stakes.
Exactly. That should have been made clear well before.
Yeah. Which I don't mind. It works really nicely here, but I'm like, I kind of wish it had been clarified earlier on. Which it sort of was because, like, the novels and stuff went into that, but the show didn't. So I'm like, not a lot of people read those.
Exactly.
Well, Deceptikitty, funny we were talking about parallels earlier. Optimus going into the well is similar to Alpha Trion going into Vector Sigma.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think, okay, so I think Optimus does eventually come back to life. Like I said, I didn't watch most of the next show, but initially he's like a helpful ghost, basically. That's his role at the start of the next series.
Anakin Skywalker.
A little bit.
Like Jaga from Thundercats.
Yeah. Or like the ghost of Obi-Wan or whatever. But he has his own story to do in like the afterlife with the primes, and then I don't know, I didn't watch past that. I think he might just actually come back to life later, but I might be wrong.
he does come hold on, he does come back to life, but in the Robot Disguise series.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, he does come back to life. Like he literally comes back like with
he does
body and everything.
Yeah.
But he's not the leader. He doesn't have the Matrix apparently.
I see. There was one time.
B's still the leader.
Oh, B is the leader? Yeah, see, I didn't watch
B's still the leader.
Yeah, I didn't watch that either.
There's one storyline of Transformers where Prime is also like a disembodied head speaking from another dimension, and that's the storyline for the Alternity universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's supposed to be like a retcon of the Mystery of Convoy video game because in level 7, there's just a disembodied Prime Head, and at the beginning of the game, a disembodied Prime Head sends these brainwaves to Ultra Magnus. Very, very strange and up for interpretation. So the idea is Prime is speaking to an Ultra Magnus from a different dimension.
I remember a million years ago when that story came out, because I used to be on the Allspark forums at the time, and it was translated and people read it, and everybody was like, oh, this is weird and interesting, and somebody was like, this sounds like vaguely like the setup for Mystery of Convoy. And then like 3 posts later, somebody's like, no, wait, that's what it is. They're setting it up.
Yeah.
I remember that. I saw it live.
Awesome. That's so fun. That was so fun. Yeah. Because I loved Alterni, and I didn't know at the time because the boxes are all Japanese. Yeah.
It's funny how like, because it's just the music from the credits playing, and I'm like, they wanted to be Steve Jablonsky, is that how you say his last name? So badly. But they also did, though, so. Yeah, there we go.
Didn't play that video game, so.
Nobody has. I mean, Deceptikitty definitely has, but like, if you've played it, you've probably died in the first level and called it a day.
It's actually one of the worst games ever.
Yeah. I watched the Game Grumps play it one time.
Which console is that game for?
The NES in Japan only. It didn't come out here.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, and it's like a shooter platformer where you're playing as Ultra Magnus, and it's just the most complicated, difficult thing.
Wow. Did you guys look at the... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Video Game Music Radio. I just saw what was on the stream.
Oh, okay. Did you guys read that that list of primes?
I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
I saw the article and I saw who it was from, and I'm like, I don't want my intelligence stat to be lowered by 0.5.
You know what? Just for the fact of it, because we have hit the 10 o'clock hours, but let me go back
We
into
still got
the
4 minutes.
chat
What are you talking about?
and pull that up. Definitely have to pull that up because I already know what direction it's gonna go. But let me see if I can find a link.
The only show I trust is Transformers: The Basics when it comes to getting the information right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, every other source of information is suspect. Oh, well, obviously the Transformers wiki itself, but so it's the wiki and then Transformers: The Basics. Everything else, take it with a grain of salt. Don't even fully trust what I say. I because I might remember things wrong. You know. I try not to, but you know.
Okay, there we go.
I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, so I'm interested to.
Yes, there was some kind of CBR article, I think, that was like the family lineage of Optimus or something, and it seemed very, nah. Yeah.
Okay. And before I get into it, many a times, or not many a times, but a few times I've come across a CBR article, the writing is questionable, the direction of the topics are questionable. At times it just seems they've thrown sentences together for whatever idea they were trying to portray, which I always go back, go to our website, childrenofprimus.com, news and reviews, and you will see well-written articles that are concise, well-informed, and to the point, written by Fear Courage. And he writes of the characters, about the characters. It's a properly laid out article that you can read details of. CBR wishes they could get to this level, but let me pull. Yeah, so I have it on the screen, and let's see what they're going with here. So Optimus Prime's complete Transformers family tree. Who created this idea?
At least it was a person.
Yeah, not AI.
Yeah. But even so, they're definitely SEO stuffing. Optimus Prime is the single most iconic. It's like when you're trying to read a recipe, or no. It's like when you're trying to look up what to do in a video game, and you find an article, but you got to wade through all of this first.
Yep.
How do you beat the fuse puzzle in Signalis? How do you?
Let me change my banner back here. There we go.
Optimus Prime is but one in a long line of primes. Well, okay, there's some merit to that. Very often he's part of a long sequence. In IDW, they were mostly. Oh, so this is just like the different primes.
Okay, so we're starting off with the original 13. And
wait, what does it say their debut appearance is? Down. All right, stop.
There we go.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's
Twisters Club #1. Oh yeah.
Okay, that is accurate. Actually, that was the first time they were
Covenants of
mentioned.
Primus. Covenants of Primus definitive debut was of December 2013. Okay.
Okay, this seems accurate because that was the like story Bible that came out near the end of the aligned continuity that like fully explained all of them.
Right.
And yeah, that Collectors Club story was the first time they were ever mentioned, but even then they were keeping it mysterious who they were. Primordial Cybertronians, rosters change over them. Most consistent grouping has Prima, Vector Prime, Alpha Trion, Solus, Micronus, Alchemist, Nexus Prime, yes, not Nexus Maximus, Onyx Prime, Quintus Prime, Liege Maximo, Megatronus Prime, which is the worst name ever, and the enigmatic 13th Prime, who has either been depicted as Autonomous Maximus, the Arisen, or sometimes Optimus Prime himself. Oh yeah, that's the thing people hated the most. This idea that they would sometimes throw out that Optimus Prime was a reincarnation of the mysterious 13th Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people aren't a fan of that because they like the idea that he was just like a regular person instead of like like a reincarnated messiah. But to each their own.
I was at a BotCon panel in 2010 with Aaron Archer, and they were doing a presentation on a bit of the 13 primes, and I was blown away with some of the stuff they had planned for that, which none of it ever really happened. And I think after the fact, it was more of just a concept rather than what they were going to do with the toys and figures. I thought it was going to be like some crazy masterpiece line, but that's not what happened.
Oh, I'd love to hear more about that. What their plans were. Septimus Prime. He existed during a period of history when the 13 were still active, but unlike his brethren, he was not a devotee of Primus, instead worshipping the god Solmus. Okay, this is from John Barber's IDW stuff, which it's been a long time since I read it. My comic club will circle around to it sometime this year again.
Okay.
This is from like early Cybertron history, but like the point in John Barber's things was it wasn't actually a realm of like gods and stuff like they're usually portrayed. It was just like normal people who got mythologized. At least in that continuity, that's how it worked.
That's cool.
Let's see.
Yeah, so
the next one.
Prime Nova. Oh yeah, one of the randos from Five Faces of Darkness. Yeah.
Well, there was a Prime Nova in the first place, so
Yeah.
there is some continuity with that.
Yeah, in five, all those guys like eventually like Ask Vector Prime and stuff would like declare them all to be specific characters. Like this is probably why they're calling this guy Prime Nova. They're like, okay, so in that flashback, the guy that looked kind of like Rodimus was this guy, and this guy was this guy, and this early Decepticon leader was this character. Yeah. First official successor of the original 13, Prime Nova was given the matrix of leadership by Prima and declared leader of the Cybertronians. Unfortunately, his tenure as Prime occurred during the Quintesson's occupation of Cybertron. This led him to start a massive resistance movement, would become known as the First Great War. Sadly, Prime Nova would never live to see the resistance succeed, as he was killed before the end of the Great War, leading to a new Prime taking on the matrix of leadership. Okay, so they're talking about, like, the flashbacks from Five Faces of Darkness here.
Yeah.
So, this isn't strictly inaccurate, but, like, their continuity drifting, because, like, that first thing was about, like, what they were doing over in IDW, and then this next one is about the version of it on the cartoon, and so is this.
Should we be surprised? It's CVR.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? It's a bit of at least somewhat of an attempt, because there was a Prime Nova in the warforcybertron video game. You had the storyline in there. You also had, you also had, if you go to TF Wiki, you look at all the primes, Prime Nova's in there as well too, and they're talking about it was more Zeta Prime, like it was Prime Nova, but it was Zeta Prime, and basically he was like, that's when all the corruption started to happen during the golden age of the Cybertronians.
Yeah. Do you mean Nova Prime or Prime Nova?
Yeah.
Because those are two different
Prime
guys.
Nova. No, I know, but that. Okay, now you got me thinking here now. It should have been Prime Nova.
Nova Prime is the kind of black and white Optimus who was like turned out to be like really evil and like colonial, because he was like, we should expand out into the universe and bring our glorious race to other worlds, and he was not a great guy about it.
No, this one here is more of he was trying to establish more of like a class system, right? You got your rich, your middle rich, you're just like today, you're rich, you're super rich, you're middle class, and you're poor, right? And he was just trying to explode all that.
And then there's this character Primon.
Primon.
He must have been black.
Another guy from Five Faces of Darkness. With
Charles
sunglasses
Ray.
too.
Charles Ray. Ray Charles looking guy there.
Right.
Okay, let's see what they say about him.
Primus was the leader of the ancient Autobots at some point in Cybertron's past. During the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon episode, he guided Rodimus Prime as he journeyed within the matrix of leadership. the initial origin of Primon had him predating Prima, which contradicted the later concept that Prima was the first Prime. As such, it was later retconned by Dreamwave Publishing's More Than Meets the Eye series that Primon was the Prime who succeeded Prime Nova and was later succeeded by Guardian Prime. What the hell are they talking about?
It's
It's
CBR.
just Prime, man.
That's
It's just
Yeah.
Prime, guys.
It's
They're-
just
they're-
Prime.
Their continuity drifting a little bit. Guardian Prime, there, the one that looks like Rodimus.
yeah.
Mm.
What did they say about him?
An ancient Autobot with a suspicious resemblance to fan-favorite Hot Rod, Guardian Prime succeeded Prime Nova and Primon as leader of Cybertron. After the end of the Quintesson occupation, unfortunately the removal of Quintessons did not lead to a lasting peace, as soon the Cybertronians were divided thanks to a civil war between the ancient Autobots and the Cybertronian military class would become the ancient Decepticons. Yeah, so I think this whole article is just going down the guys from that flashback and including stuff they did in other continuities as well.
Hold on,
Yeah,
there's
it's-
more. There's more.
Before a peaceful resolution could be found, he was shot, dying of mortal wounds just after he was able to pass on the matrix of leadership to his successor. In the original G1 cartoon, the successor was Zeta Prime. Numerous continuities, however, have expanded the lineage of primes between Guardian and Zeta, chiefly IDW. Yeah.
Well, okay, so they're saying in the original Generation 1 cartoon, this is the successor was Zeta Prime.
Yeah.
But was that ever really explained in that series? Or is it
Yeah.
or is this based off of a wiki, what people have kind of been building up story-wise years later?
It's complicated. So, like, the episode when it aired in the 80s, they showed this whole sequence, but they didn't explain who any of these guys were.
Correct.
And
bit of
then
both.
you have, many years later, there's that thing called Ask Vector Prime, where people would, like, real life people would ask Vector Prime, the fictional character, questions in, like, a letters page. And it was a way for, like, the creators of the franchise to make, like, statements about canon. And then at some point, so this would have been, like, closer to today, they were like, all right, so that's who these guys all were. This guy, this guy, this guy. This one here was Zeta Prime. So this is something they decided later. And then there was a Zeta Prime in other continuities as well. So they just sort of eventually said, like, this is the same character.
Okay. Before we get to the next Prime, Shiba Kobe says, I saw a Netflix Chromia and a Siege Ironworks at my local game store yesterday. I have Siege Chromia. Is it worth it to get Netflix Chromia? And
No.
Also
I'll
says
tell you.
Ironworks and Chromia are $20.
Well, that's a good price, but there
gonna
have
say.
been leaks for there's a new Chromia coming soon in Legacy. It's a retool of animated Universe Prowl. I've seen some photos. It looks really nice. I didn't really like the animated Universe Prowl figure they did, but Chromia looks really cool because she's in like purple and blue and little bits of red. Real nice color scheme. Just wait for that one. Oh, okay. Now they're just okay. Yeah, Amazon and Regulus Prime from Transformers vs. GI Joe. Listen, Transformers vs. GI Joe was wonderful, but also this was Tom Scioli and John Barber just making stuff up for the fun of it. Whereas they're taking this as like a part of the other regular thing. Like the whole point of Transformers vs. GI Joe was it was like weird and different on purpose.
Right.
See, and that's the reason why I say you're a talented writer, where whoever wrote this for CBR just found random facts, put it together, and unfortunately someone else reading it is going to think that this is, that this is what the actual, lore and canon is, and like they're not even close.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you think this was an AI generated
I
Partially.
don't think
Chat-
so.
a GPT article?
could have been edited, but I think the point is that there's definitely they're stretching this information to make a full article. So like this is just like for SEO type of thing. This is something that Google will pull up automatically on a news feed or something because it's so full
Yeah.
of content.
Yeah, well, the big inaccuracy here to me is that most of the stuff they say is correct, but they're treating it like it's one canon when it's not. It's a bunch of different continuities that do different things. and sometimes they share similar ideas or character names or whatever. It's like
Well, yeah, like I would have put a disclaimer right at the very beginning saying, "Hey, we're trying to do our best here to do a
yeah,
timeline. Just bear with us, please." All right.
it's
Our
like
readers have no idea what we write about.
Yeah.
it's like it'd be like an article about like Spider-Man that includes information on the Marvel Comics version and like the Tobey Maguire version and the Tom Holland version and treats them all like the same character. That's basically what we're looking at here.
Comic
did
book
you know-
tabloids.
Yeah, it's like, did you know this about Spider-Man? He interacted with Bruce Campbell 3 times. He was Tony Stark's apprentice or whatever. One time he met the Transformers and interacted with Gears. This is the same guy. That's what this is giving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So these two were just random guys who appeared in. Megatron had the Matrix. They haunted Megatron. He shot at them. That's about it. Tom Scioli and John Barber made them up on the spot because that comic was a fever dream, which everybody should read. But
All right, so we'll skip that one. So
yeah, Nova Prime. There we go.
Prime.
Mr. Metaphor for colonialism himself. This man was the entire British Empire.
Wow.
The leader of Cybertron during the Great Expansions. It is unknown who preceded Nova Prime, but what is known is that his ambition knew no bounds, wanting Cybertron to become a galaxy-spanning empire through the colonizing and conquering of dozens of star systems. However, after his pride led him to believe he was capable of conquering the multiverse as well... Wait, when did he say that? Nova Prime was trapped in the Dark Universe? No, it's the Dead Universe.
Yeah, I was
For
gonna say.
millions of years, with the corrupt energy of that dimension turning him into the demonic entity known as Nemesis Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they called it the wrong thing, but this is basically the plot of the IDW comics. Yeah. Within IDW Publishing's Transformers, he returned to Cybertron on several occasions, each time requiring the Autobots and Decepticons to have to band together to stop him from causing Armageddon. Oh yeah, Nova Prime is partially retconned into the Generation 1 continuity thanks to the Transformers Devastation video game, which merged many key elements of IDW Publishing's expanded lore into a G1-inspired setting. Yeah, that's basically right. That's a thing that happened. Nominus Prime. Yeah, this guy. From Transformers number 23, created by James Roberts, Alex Milne, and Joan LaFuente. Yeah. They added this guy later on as somebody that came after Nova Prime.
Yeah, I don't remember this character at all.
Yeah, they added him later. When the Matrix of Leadership was lost, it appeared that with Nova Prime's disappearance, it appeared the line of Primes had been broken. This led to the ascension of the first faux Prime, Nominus Prime, who was christened with a fake Matrix. Oh, this is more or less correct. Okay. Under the rulership of Nominus Prime, Cybertron fell into a sharp decline with the creation of a rigid, totalitarian class system, as the ruling Cybertronian Senate was filled with directionless, bickering autocrats. It was during Nominus Prime's reign that Megatron was radicalized into starting the early political movements that would cause the creation of the Decepticons, in a manner greatly inspired by the Russian Revolution. Ultimately, Nominus was assassinated by the Cybertronian Senate after it was revealed that his Matrix was a fake, and a new Senate-appointed Prime took over the leadership of Cybertron. I mean, that's sort of correct, but it's a little bit misleading, too. Like, nobody knew the Matrix was a fake. The Senate knew it was fake. But yeah,
That's
no, this is just
based on. Go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, this is just summarizing some stuff from James Roberts' Transformers comics, because they did flashbacks a lot.
Well, Professor D said, this was not a bad article, y'all. Y'all were unduly harsh. I will say of maybe 10 articles, if even that amount, this one may be that one that actually might not be as bad as the other 9 I read. Especially the first time coming across their website and reading the article about famous people being doing cameos in movies, and they missed the point of Matt Damon being doing the cameo in the Thor movie, pretending to be Loki.
Oh yeah, because he was Loki in Dogma.
Yeah, the article had zero reference to that, and basically said they had no idea why Matt Damon was in the Thor movie.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. well, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't call this great because it is like conflating all the continuities together, and it also keeps making little mistakes.
Sentinel Prime.
Transformers Generation 1, 5 Faces of Darkness Part 4. Yeah, see, like, again, Ask Vector Prime later said, this one guy was Sentinel Prime all along, so cool little retcon, but it's maybe not as authoritative as this article's making it sound. Because they didn't intend for that random guy to be Sentinel Prime in the 80s. Yeah. Sentinel Prime's history has been heavily reworked and altered throughout Transformers' long history. In some versions, he was a member of the 13 Primes, other times the Dynasty of Primes, and he's even served as both the rival and mentor of Optimus Prime. Originally, he was also a veteran of the Quintesson occupation, dying in the line of battle and passing the matrix of leadership to Prime Nova. However, most modern continuities favor depicting him as the Prime who immediately predated or penultimately predated Optimus Prime. Yeah, he acted as a stern militaristic leader whose rule resulted in increased hostilities with the Decepticons, resulting in an all-out civil war famously known as the Autobot-Decepticon War. I don't know if I'd say famously known as that. Call it the Great War most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the Prime that I was talking about in the War for Cybertron here.
Wait. Didn't they already do one for Zeta Prime? Am I remembering wrong? Didn't they do him further up?
They did, and this is where I was going to make that comment.
Did they? I don't think so.
Oh yeah, no, I'm tripping.
No, I mentioned it before. I was comparing Zeta Prime to Prime Nova.
Yeah. Oh, this is a weird one. 5 Faces of Darkness Part 4. Again, he was one of the guys there. They attribute his creation there to Flint Dill and Acom Productions. They made a character model, and they did not intend for it to be that guy. Yeah. While many continuities have Sentinel Prime as the direct predecessor to Optimus, some continuities, such as the Aligned, Legends, and IDW continuities, gave Zeta Prime that honor, acting as the original Autobot military leader during the early Autobot-Decepticon War. His aggressive military exploits held the Autobot line against the Decepticons for many years. Either because his militarism went too far, or because Megatron managed to track him down, Zeta was eventually killed. This left the Autobots leaderless and vulnerable, leading to the iconic ascension of Optimus Prime. Yeah, so he's a guy they keep adding in. In War for Cybertron, he was the Prime that you kill as Megatron. In IDW, they added him in as an evil guy that took over after after Sentinel Prime died. Yeah. And finally, we reach Optimus Prime. What are these creator credits?
Yeah, interesting. They used the most recent comic book as his image.
Debut appearances: More Than Meets the Eye Part 1 and Transformers #1. They attribute his creation to George Arthur Bloom and Toei Animation. And then, Transformers #1, they attribute it to Bill Mantlo, Ralph Macchio, Frank Springer, and Kim DeMolder. I'd need to double check that. That all feels a little bit incorrect. Like, those were people involved in both of these, but I don't know if they created him. One thing I do know, Bob Budiansky didn't name Optimus Prime. He wrote his bio, but that's one of the few that he didn't come up with the name for. Because there was an initial earlier treatment that somebody else wrote. And they said, we don't want this, we're going to throw it out, we're going to bring Bob Budiansky in to start over. And the name Optimus Prime was from that, and Bob Budiansky decided to keep it because he liked it. but very little else was kept. So I don't know who named him, but somebody else did. I forget who it was at the moment.
So all these very Greek names came from
Yeah.
this guy, Fortress Maximus, Optimus Prime.
Yeah. The other one that we know about was the original name for Starscream was going to be Ulchtar. Ulchtar.
That would have been Dennis O'Neill who would have wrote that initial treatment.
Okay, so yeah, Dennis O'Neill was the guy that named Optimus Prime then.
Okay, now I dare you to read like this first sentence in like a movie, like a movie preview. You know, like.
Okay, let me try this.
Yeah. Put your Victor Crowley on.
The bot, the myth, the legend, born under the name Orion Pax. He was chosen by Alpha Trion, one of the original 13, to lead the Autobots in their darkest hour.
Am I doing okay, guy?
It's like a wrestling walk-on.
Oh, sorry.
Do you need some halls?
Yeah.
No,
Becoming known as Optimus Prime, the war on Cybertron waged on for thousands of years until a planet-wide resource depletion forced Optimus Prime to make the critical decision to leave his home planet and find refuge on the planet Earth along his fellow Autobots. Okay,
Roll
I
out.
made it at the end
Yeah.
Yeah.
there. Thank you. That was my. Okay, you'll see me on the next movie trailer.
I feel like some parody, like a parody, parody truth trailers, like when you make fun of those
Oh yeah,
trailers.
the honest trailers.
Yeah, the honest
Yep.
trailer, that's it.
And Duke Nukem says, "Well
Right.
done."
Yeah.
Thanks, Duke.
High praise coming from the actual Duke Nukem.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a Duke Nukem voice.
Wow.
Within this new frontier, Optimus had the Autobots adopt a new mission, the protection of Earth and humanity against the Decepticons, who'd seek to only plunder and enslave the planet. While his stories have veered in countless different directions, spanning dozens of different continuities, the spirit of Optimus Prime and the hope he inspires endures. Okay, this is accurate, but this is because this is just every Optimus.
Mm-hmm.
Rodimus Prime. I wonder who number 1 is, if that's number 2.
And I want to see. I wonder how they're gonna butcher him in terms of their writing. We'll see in a minute.
Well, I bet it's just going to be cartoon Rodimus without any other continuities mentioned.
It'd be this snotty little kid comes out of nowhere and picks up the leader, and what the hell happens?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was 1986. I should buy some Apple stock. What remains of the most iconic yet shocking parts of Transformers history was 1986's Transformers the movie, when Optimus Prime was killed off in a heroic final battle with his eternal foe Megatron. The future of the Autobots was a complete unknown, especially when the demonic Unicron threatened to devour their home planet of Cybertron. In their darkest hour, the plucky Autobot rookie called Hot Rod took up the Matrix, becoming Rodimus Prime. While some fans look upon Rodimus with scorn, looking at you, there is no denying that he is the definitive successor to Optimus Prime, something very few can claim.
Does he kill
Boy.
The Primals?
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna stop this one here. I'm gonna stop this. There's actually
Please
they're
do.
missing one
Please
here.
do.
Hold on, they're actually missing one character here, and he's actually
Uh-huh.
from the '86 movie.
Ultra Magnus?
No, Springer,
Why?
because Springer actually takes up the mantle after Hot Rod. It's a TF wiki.
You know what? Sort of. There's a Marvel UK comic from one of the annuals that's like a distant. It's meant to be like a war never ends parable, where Rodimus Prime is like, the war's done, we've won. I'm gonna step down now and give the Matrix to Springer, and then it turns out there's a one of the last Decepticons hiding out in the crowd decides he's going to start agitating and makes it seem like some of them don't want Springer to lead. And then a big shootout happens, and Rodimus Prime realizes the war is starting over again because now the Autobots are in two camps. It's a really dark story. But so much of Marvel UK was very dark, so...
Yep.
To me, this is all very questionable. Before we get to the primals here, I'm actually curious what the heck that means.
Yeah.
But it's very... to me, every Transformers... what do you call it? Like show or cartoon is part of a different universe. From what I feel, just like the Marvel universe. And the string that ties them all together is that Unicron is a multi-universal entity. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's how this is all tied together. But you can't necessarily say that this is the case for all universes, right? Some hold from this universe, that universe.
No. I think, like I said, I think this is just what I said earlier before, sorry. It's just a somewhat roadmap of kind of where the Matrix ended up in.
To me, it's
another somewhere, somehow, right?
Yeah, to me, it's really internet fluff, because if you want to get down to it, then you could talk about like what constitutes a prime, because Decepticons or Autobots aren't exclusive to holding the Matrix, right? Decepticons
they could have put Scourge.
Children of Primus.
No, you're absolutely correct. Scourge could have been on this list, because you remember
that was the key to Vector Sigma.
Was it the key to Sigma? Didn't he try to open up the Matrix? And
he stole the Matrix from Hot Rod and got like partially melted by it. Burden Hardest to Bear was the episode.
Okay, yes.
So he literally he did something that Ultra Magnus couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, he didn't open it. He put it inside of himself, and he was poisoned by it. But he couldn't open it.
I thought he opened it.
No.
Didn't he grab it and open it and put it in his chest, or am I?
Well, he just put it in his chest, and he was poisoned by the Matrix, but he couldn't open it.
Yeah. I always wondered if that had anything to do with him being like a Unicron creation.
Oh, wow.
That's
cool.
Because
that's cool.
That's where he came from, right?
Yeah.
Where he presented, and I don't fully remember, but I think after the Stunticons had run Rodimus off the road, stole the Matrix, and brought it back, and then Galvatron realized he still can't open it, and basically gave it to Scourge to throw it away because it's like a useless relic to him. That's when Scourge decided to try to open it and couldn't, put it inside himself and was poisoned, but then became more powerful than all the Decepticons and started attacking them.
Yeah.
I think personally, I thought he opened it because it transformed him into that monster. Mm-hmm. Like how the Matrix transformed. When I say transform, reformatted in a sense, from Hot Rod to Rodimus to Orion Pack to, Optimus Prime Scourge to Monster Scourge, right? Because they put it in their chest. That's how I envisioned it when I was a kid, I guess, or still now. So I still by default or technicality, I think Scourge could go on there, because to point to. Going back to what Anthony said, how come Galvatron didn't get affected by the Matrix when he had it around his neck as like a necklace?
Yeah, he didn't try to jam it into his spark core.
Right.
He was just holding it.
Valid.
Right. Just saying. Still touched it.
Also, if you have to mention Thunderwing, because he was in possession of the Matrix in the comics.
Yeah. Thunderwing was so evil that he corrupted the Matrix instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
And I think in the cartoon lore, it was more of the Matrix chooses who it interacts with, because Ultra Magnus had the Matrix inside of him, and it didn't do anything to him.
Didn't do nothing. Yeah.
That's one interesting argument I heard recently, is that Ultra Magnus tried to open the Matrix and use the power of the Matrix, what he thought was their Autobots' darkest hour against the Decepticons. But the darkest hour is not against other Transformers. The darkest hour is against the entity Unicron. So it wasn't the appropriate time for Ultra Magnus to open the power of the Matrix.
So my question to you then, hold on. So my question to you guys, what if this can be like one of those what if series? If Ultra Magnus had opened up the Matrix when Unicron, let's just say, was attacking Cybertron, would it have opened?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess the darkest hour, because it worked. It was that and the hate plague as well. Is when there's an existential threat to the species instead of them to themselves. So I like to think if he'd made it there, it might have worked because that was its intended use.
Right.
What do you think? What kind of upgrade Ultra Magnus would have had? Going from a truck to a what? A car?
Going from a truck to two trucks.
Maybe a top half with pants.
Yeah.
Big Grand Dion.
Wow.
Okay, so I guess the last one here are the primals. So
Hey,
I
what
guess
are they on about here?
Yeah.
There isn't
before
like more than one.
Right.
Before we wrap up for the evening, let's so the primals, take it away.
Debut appearance: Beast Wars Transformers Episode 1. Creators: Bob Ford, Ian Pearson, and Mainframe Entertainment. Yeah. Okay. I want to see how they justify this, because there isn't like... That's just a guy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
not in the same prestigious position as the Primes of old. The primal titles used by the Maximals 300 years after the Autobot Decepticon War acted as the spiritual successor of the Primes. No, they didn't.
No.
Not in any continuity I've read. They became inspirational leaders and great warriors in their fight against the nefarious predacons. As seen with the case of most of the primals, most notably Optimus Primal and 3H Comics' Onyx Primal, those are the only guys with that name. It was a tradition for them to hold the historic names of former primes as a way to give tribute to the great leaders of the past and acting as a promise to hold their values. In the case of the other primals, such as Primal Prime, that's an unrelated guy. They became a living conduit for the will of the matrix of leadership. That's just him. That's not like a thing with other characters. That's just what happened with him. Those cases were exceedingly rare. Regardless, the legacy of Prime ends with the installment of the Primals acting as a replacement to the position. No? There's a guy named Optimus Primal. He's named after the old guys. That's not a title. That's just what he's called. And they're just sort of jumping on the fact that there was another character called Onyx Primal from like a BotCon thing, and then during Beast Machines there was a character named Primal Prime, which was made by them taking the Matrix and using it to infuse life into the mech suit that Quickstrike used to control Optimal Optimus in one episode. That's like three guys. That's not like a... They're not like... They don't rule things. Optimus Primal's whole thing is he was just like some random captain of a random ship.
It's just named after Optimus Prime, that's all.
Yeah. They have the Maximal Elders in Beast Wars. That's who rules things. Yeah, so maybe parts of that were right, but that number one there, that's just like made up whole cloth.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw that to you, Fear or Courage. Out of 10, what would you give that article?
Well, I can't in good conscience give it a passing grade because it completely chokes on the home stretch there. Like, most of what was there wasn't made up. No, I'd give it at best a 5 out of 10 at best. Most of the article was accurate with a few mistakes, but they conflated different continuities as one, and then at the end they just made up a thing, like fully.
That 300 years seems oddly specific after the Autobot War.
That is what they said in Beast Wars. They said the war ended 300 years ago. Now, that was pretty early in the show when they hadn't quite ironed out, like Bob Ford and Larry DiTillo, the showrunners, were not like Transformers guys, and they learned as time went on. And by the later on, they were like, oh, geez, these guys slept for 4 million years. 300 years isn't a really long time. Mm-hmm. So nowadays, most people are like, maybe they meant 300 Cybertronian years or something.
300
But
cycle.
yeah. But yeah, in Beast
Arbitrary.
Wars, they say a few times that the Autobot Decepticon War ended 300 years ago. So that's where they pulled that from.
I see.
And that's why I say, articles written on the childrenofprimus.com/news and reviews, written by Fear or Courage, is not AI generated.
I try to be accurate.
Yeah, tries very well to be accurate, and most times is very accurate in his articles, well written, concise, with images, CBR. So on to Fear or Courage. What did you have coming up for tomorrow?
Yeah. Where's
Hey,
the
you
guy?
didn't ask us. What's going on here, man?
Okay.
Deceptikitty,
Yes.
don't you feel left out?
What's up?
I'm still.
Everybody
Still-
we go around, you know.
SuperBowlHunter.com. What is your, out of 10? What do you give the article a rating of?
Well, I can't make sound effects like how Fear Curse did, but I'll give it a.
I made a sound effect.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Well, you just did it.
Oh, that doesn't get a Fear's Courage. I'm gonna give it an E for effort. Out of 10.
E out of 10. Well, so that's actually a 5.
An E for an effort. That's it, right? So, they had to plug in, the parameter and some pictures when they put it into the chat GPT, whatever the hell you call it, and there you go.
You know what? Probably the entire CBR website and all the articles written, it's all AI generated, and it's like the end of She-Hulk when she crashes in on the dude that runs the MCU.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yes, Kevin.
Kevin
But
Feige,
Kevin's just
Kevin,
a huge AI computer. So CBR is just a huge AI computer, and all these writers are just different names of different AIs. They're not actually human.
Hey,
I don't think it was AI. This has the unique feel of a person that doesn't know what he's talking about, frantically researching and trying to sound like he knows what he's talking about.
Duke Nukem says so for Mike's E out of 10 is approximately 2.71 out of 10.
E is actually yeah, that's right. E is a reference for a value.
Nice. And Deceptikitty, your rating out of 10?
Yeah, it's pretty close to E. The value of E I would give it out of 10. And the reason is that I think it would be better if this article just did not exist, because it just confuses the greater narrative there. Go to TF. You want to find this out? Go to TF Wiki. There's a place for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Be warned, you will be falling in the TF Wiki hole. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
To you. Lots of links, man. Oh my god.
Enjoy.
And there's two different ways to get lost. One is reading about the stories of each character, and the other is reading about every figure that ever existed for a character. That's an entire separate hole to vanish down.
This is true.
If you say go to the different Optimus Prime pages, because they divide them by continuity. G1 guy, movie guy, Prime guy, and just go to the pages that are just all the figures of them and see how long they are, and each figure has an article and pictures.
Well, there's another way too, because when you're reading, I'm reading an article, and then they mention about this figure, which I either don't know of or totally forgot about, and then I hit that link because I want to go look at that figure, and then I start reading it, right, just to refresh my memory or get to know that figure. Then they mention another figure, and I'm like, okay, who's that guy? And then another one, and you're like, geez, man, you're down the rabbit hole.
Yep, it's the rabbit hole.
Yeah. An important thing about the Transformers wiki, which is why it's so accurate and well regarded, it's not official, but it is known that the official creators, both on the story side and the toy making side, use it as a resource. They've said so before. It's known. So there's a bit of a mandate, when it comes to editing it, that it be as accurate as it can be, because everybody that runs the place knows the actual guys that make the stories and make the figures are using it to research for reference material.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Which we can tell CBR did not use.
Yeah.
Funky any source
Well,
material.
you know what it is? They probably did, but like they don't go here. They were probably just skimming articles and being like, "All right, this happened, this happened, this happened."
I have a deadline.
Yeah,
That's it.
which you
5 minutes
know,
ago.
it's bad, but I'll have some sympathy. Maybe this is just some guy who's like, "All right, we have a quota to hit. Write us Transformers is big right now. Write us an article about this." And the guy's like, "I don't know. I just gotta get this done."
Yeah, you know, I think another stream we'll pick a few other articles and give it a rating, and we're definitely going to see a lot of E's and probably G's, F's, H's. Like it's
Square root of I.
Yeah.
So So what was the mention for the upcoming article?
Oh, me?
Yes.
Well, okay. So now that we've put many layers of duct tape over the website, I say we, but it's entirely Spin. This is the guy that keeps everything running. I do imagine you're just putting large rolls of duct tape around a server.
Well, I did put that one image from the TV show, the IT Crowd.
Yeah.
Where it's like the one guy's like typing and then like the other computer's like on fire and he's just sitting there typing, looking at the fire.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I think eventually he emails like the police or something, and he's typing and like, you know, fire. There is a fire in the basement, you know, and like click send.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So my article on Legacy Tigerhawk, that's ready to go. I published that like shortly before the stream just to get it out there. I'll advertise it on socials tomorrow. childrenofprimus.com/news and reviews. Somebody else used this term regarding a different figure, but I think this applies to this. This is a tribute to one of the greatest figures of all time. So that's what I called it at the end. Because Christmas 1999 again, but now basically.
Nice.
Yeah,
Every time I
and
hear
then
that name, sorry, I was just gonna say every time I hear Tiger Hawk,
yeah,
I think of Silverhawk.
Silverhawks. I have not watched a single episode, but the opening credits are great.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good cartoon. It was, it was almost like a future age version of Thundercats. So
That's
it was
Yeah.
a really good cartoon.
Yeah, and I already got my next article written because I didn't stop writing and taking photos just because the site was down. So I did Retro Soundwave, which is the G1 reissue with Laserbeak and Ravage in cartoon colors.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's
Is that
that'll be
the
coming.
2-pack, or is that the 2-pack, or just the one on like the 1-pack with
No, it
Blaster?
comes with Ravage also. So Soundwave comes with Laserbeak and Ravage, and
Right.
Blaster, who I will talk about and who's on the docket. I think he's right there.
Yep.
He just comes with Steeljaw. There he is, because he's bigger. So you know, only space for one tape, and they cost the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get those? Because I was looking at our famous stores that we have around us, and again, nothing on the shelf for where I am.
Might be out of luck. Here's the thing: they're Walmart exclusive. I had them on pre-order when they opened, so they just
okay.
shipped them to me when they came out.
Right.
Which they might show up at retail. They sometimes do. It's a bit luck of the draw, but yeah, I just got mine on pre-order.
So I'm gonna ask a question, and you guys can answer it. But for the rest of the people that are watching, put your comments. I want to read your comments. If you have the original Soundwave and Blaster, which I do, would you go? Oh, Spin has it too. Would you buy? Oh, Kitty has it too. Would you buy the reissue, or would you skip on it because you have the original? Put your comments below, man. Type it in. We want to read it. We want to hear from you guys. But
Yeah.
to you, gentlemen.
my bit of comment on it is just that the whole deal with these is they're trying to be in cartoon accurate colors. So the question is that important to you? Like, let me pop his head out here. His eyes are now red instead of yellow, right? And there's other things on him that are different as well because they're trying to make him look like he did in the animation. Yeah. It's not as night and day with these guys as like some of the other retro guys, like Purple Hot Rod or the Starscream that actually has like red eyes and a gray face instead of a solid black face and gold eyes. So I'd say with these, it's the question of, do you want them in cartoon colors? Is that a thing you always wish they did? If so, that's what they're making here.
For me,
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say real quick that I would like to have it if it wasn't so expensive. This is my purple Soundwave. It's the Taiwan comic book color version. That's what I think anyways. I would like to have that one because it's very cartoon accurate. I like the solid colors. The lack of stickers is actually kind of pleasing to me.
Yeah.
Because the original Soundwave stickers are they're just too busy, I think. So I think it's a lot more cleaner, this one. But maybe lower the price a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what? I wish I could run upstairs and grab my Soundwave and compare it to the one that you have in your hand.
Well, come back.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you custom painted yours, right?
Yep.
To give him red eyes.
Yep. And then
okay.
Yeah. Same with the blaster.
Yeah.
It's just like a really small tip brush, and I don't remember what year that was. Probably 88 or 89. I just repainted the eyes of a lot of my Transformers.
Yeah, and you see the reissue blaster has blue eyes also. I half transformed him just to get his head out.
Yeah.
Professor D answers his answer to the question is G1 reissues, no chrome, no deal.
Yeah, that is the rub on a lot of these. I will say that's not as bad on Soundwave and Blaster as it was on like Hot Rod and Hound because the gray blends a lot better now. And like his weapon here, it's not chromed, it's gray, but I don't think it looks as bad. Like it's a valid criticism. Like I noted that in my write up on this guy. It doesn't bug me, but I could see it bugging someone.
Also, the buttons are definitely a different shape in the re-release. These forward and reverse buttons are a little bit more pointy, whereas the re-release...
You can read about that on the Transformers wiki, because I always briefly look up the history of this stuff before I write. Early versions of Soundwave had the buttons like that. Later versions changed the molding on them. So this is one solid piece. They're just using paint to break it up into multiple buttons, whereas you actually have like multiple buttons on yours, because that's how the earlier versions did that.
Right. And Professor D is saying Micah dissing Soundwave stickers is blasphemy.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm hot and cold on stickers. Like, I enjoy a good Toy Hacks upgrade set, but also those stickers, if you make a mistake, you can peel them off and try again because they're durable. Vintage G1 foil stickers, you can't do that, you'll wreck them. But also, sticker details, there's no chance of them, if you put them on yourself, they can't mess something up at the factory like they potentially could with a Tampo or paint or factory applied stickers.
Actually,
but then it's like, how good are you? Can you do better?
Actually, on your blaster, can I see the back of your blaster for a second?
Yeah, he does not have the battery compartment.
Yeah, because see, mine doesn't have the battery compartment either, but I know
mine
does.
Mine does.
Yeah, that was another running change. Again, like, I've been reading about this because when I grab these guys, I tend to go to the wiki and read about the different versions. Just not even for the article, just out of curiosity. Yeah. So yours would be a slightly later release, like still from the 80s, but like.
No, mine's. Or are you talking about
Spins?
Spin? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you would have like an earlier copy.
Yeah, I have like the one that first came out that had that. It looks like there's like a line going on the back, and you think there's something in there and you're trying to get a screwdriver to try to jam that thing open. So my whole thing in the back is all scratched because as a kid
Yeah.
I'm really trying to open that thing up.
Yeah, that's because like, and of course, for anybody that doesn't know, the microchange version was a working AM radio. So that's what was in there. They kind of gutted that feature when they brought it over to a Transformers line.
Yep.
Yeah,
The-
then
the
so
funny
some
thing is,
early ones had
There's
battery
actually a
compartments.
radio that has a picture of like a figure like Rumble or Frenzy, but in red. And they were actually using that color scheme to match,
Yeah.
Blaster kind of thing.
Enemy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's the example of the wiki making a joke and then that joke becoming canon, because there was all these little bits of merchandise that were of a solid red version of the Frenzy Rumble robot,
That's what I
like
have.
not red and black, but like solid red.
It was red and blue.
Yeah,
And then I actually tried to pry it off the radio because I thought it came off, but it doesn't. It's actually permanently stays onto the radio.
yeah. So what happened was all the packaging would call that robot the Decepticon enemy. And then, because of the way it was formatted, the Transformers Wiki kind of made a joke and said, "This is obviously about a Decepticon called Enemy. Let's make him an article." And then Takara was like, "Okay, but let's do this for real." And they did a version of the Frenzy and Rumble tooling in those colors and just called an Enemy, so the joke became a character.
Got it.
Again, because they read the wiki.
No, Professor D says,
That's cool.
Back of my blaster has the Hasbro Takara 84 branding, but no battery door. Just just like ours. So
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them do, some of them don't. It was a running chain. It's just like the buttons on Soundwave.
yeah. So as we're getting close to 11 o'clock, as we wrap up, we did have fun playing Transformers Prime Beast Hunters through our channel. And for anyone interested in the Super Bowl, apparently I guess the San Francisco 49ers lost because they had
Really?
22
Wow.
to the Kansas City Chiefs having 25. So that is
Fascinating. I
the
wonder what
final
happened
on.
there.
score in
That-
overtime.
Taylor Swift.
Now, overtime, nice. That must have been an exciting game for everyone. Well, I'm
Ooh.
glad everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl. I hope your betting team has won.
Yes.
Don't gamble. It's not
In the exciting world of animals predicting, Jess informed me multiple animals predicted the 49ers were going to win. So I think there's some mad people out there now.
Multiple animals. Were any of them
Those
what's his
animals.
name? Willie the
Willie, the groundhog? No.
the groundhog, yes.
No. But it was always like, my rabbit's been very accurate. This is the one that it ran towards. This dog that picks them ran towards this one. There's a lot of those.
Oh dear.
That's an interesting twist. I'll look up what happened. I don't know. We were just there to watch the halftime show, so we dipped after that. It was good though.
Okay, cool. Well, yes,
Yeah, I enjoyed my pizza and wings.
gosh.
That's the
Just to-
reason.
Just to confirm, there was no Transformers of any kind that appeared there, was there?
No, but A, I only watched the first half, and B, this was a Canadian broadcast, so they cut in Canadian commercials.
Yeah.
I feel like
Bilingual.
yeah, I feel like I would have. No, not bilingual.
Could you
I feel-
imagine, though? Just kidding.
I feel like I would have heard about it if they did Transformers 1, so I don't think they did, but I might be wrong. Let me just give me a second. I know exactly where I could go to find out if they showed it.
And Professor Lee says, yeah, wow, 49ers lost. Now I feel like we missed a big upset that could have been fun to stand by and watch to follow.
Yeah, but I mean, and I personally find football really boring, which, apologies to people that enjoy it. It's just not for me. I was just there to watch the halftime show. It's the one sport that I don't really get. Again, like, if it's your thing, great. But, like, baseball, fine. Hockey, fine. Basketball, fine. Football, what's going on?
Well, it's just one side throws the ball and the other side has to try to tackle the other side to get it over the line. And that's
Yeah.
Where
I
does the
understand
foot
that
come
part.
into that?
Sorry?
So where's the Foot come into that?
Well, they're the ones that fight the Ninja Turtles. You see.
Oh, okay. So just making sure. That's all.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, right?
That's good. Well,
Okay, so I guess we're taking off.
Yeah. I guess we're done.
So on that note,
It's been Prime, guys.
Ooh.
till all are one.